And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Tornado Talk every Monday night here at Dugan's Pub, 29 West French Broad Street in Brevard, North Carolina. Hope you can head on down here to Dugan's either tonight or on a Monday night and join us. All sorts of TVs, great place to watch games and enjoy some Irish delicacies and a great food and drink menu here. All sorts of college basketball on the tube tonight. We've got a great show on deck for us tonight. The man to my left will be our first guest, men's basketball associate head coach Kaylin Johnson, known as KJ. We'll have a couple of men's basketball student athletes, Messiah Pankey and Joshua Wilson, on the show. We'll have football assistant coach who's in charge of the wide receivers, Andrew Bather, on the show. And we'll hear from a couple of women's basketball student athletes, Taisha Washington and Destiny Williams. So a basketball-heavy show. We'll talk some football as well in the heart of basketball season at Brevard College. Do want to thank our sponsors, Arby's, Zaxby's, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium, Pepsi, and of course our home of Tornado Talk, Dugan's Pub. Before we get to Coach Kaylin Johnson, I do want to catch you up with what you missed, perhaps this last week around the world of Brevard College athletics. Bradley Morrison has been hired as the head men's soccer coach. This will be Coach Morrison's second stint at Brevard College. He coached here a few years ago, and he is returning to lead the Tornadoes men's soccer team. Most recently, he was an assistant coach at Gardner Webb. The climbing team had a great showing this weekend at Chattanooga, Tennessee, at the Tennessee Bouldering Authority event. Madison Altman finishes second. Danielle Brown finishes third on the women's side to lead the Tornadoes. So great showing there. And spring practices are getting underway across Tornado Athletics. The men's lacrosse team, as we were pulling up to the show tonight, was concluding their first practice of the year, and the rest of the spring sports, women's lacrosse, softball, baseball, track and field, golf, and tennis, all getting started in earnest in these next couple weeks. Now, on the basketball side of things, two tough losses for the women's team. A 64-45 loss at Maryville on Saturday on the road. Taisha Washington, who will be a guest on the show a little later, with a team-high 11 points and 5 rebounds. Avery Lockwood, 10 points, 5 rebounds. And then a 78-48 loss on Sunday yesterday. Deja Riddick led the team with 9 points, and Lockwood with another double-figure rebounding total, 8 boards to go along with, 10 boards to go along with 8 points. Next up for the women's basketball team this Saturday, 2 p.m. at the Bosch, home against LaGrange. That'll be part of a doubleheader with the men's team, who take on LaGrange following that women's game at 4 p.m. The men's team had a game at home against Huntington, a tough 87-64 loss. Levi Lamb, 17 points. Messiah Pankey, who will be a guest on the show a little later, 14 points. And then a 100-80 loss versus Pfeiffer on Friday. Damari Hopper, 14 points to lead the Tornadoes. Levi Lamb, 12, and Cannon Lamb, 11. The Tornadoes head to Berea this Wednesday, 7 p.m., for a road USA South Conference matchup against Berea. And then Saturday, as we mentioned, 2 and 4 o'clock. Hope you can make it to the Bosch as the Tornadoes take on LaGrange. And that leads us to our first guest of the night, Associate Head Coach Kaylin Johnson.
Phil, thanks for having me.
Known affectionately as KJ around the Brevard College Athletics Complex. And great to have you on the show tonight, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, do want to start with where the team's at the moment.
Okay.
It was an interesting week, and I talked to head coach Lee Burgess last week heading into this week's games, and what was compelling and I'm sure challenging for you guys as the coaching staff was preparing for two completely different opponents in terms of style. Huntington, kind of a wear-you-down, physical-type team, and then a very up-tempo opponent in Pfeiffer, in a quick turnaround in between the two games to prepare for the Pfeiffer game. What was the week of preparation like for you guys, and what were you emphasizing with the players?
The week was very similar to any other week that we have. We like to get in and watch film a couple of days before, watch it the day before. And in my opinion, I thought that both teams were kind of similar. Both teams want to pressure you heavily. They rely on turnovers and just playing at a super fast pace. Us being able to practice earlier in the week, I thought that it was going to prepare us going into Saturday. But I do think that, we do have a long ways to go as a unit. I do think that, we are close as a team, as far as getting over the hump. But when you play two teams like that are average in the league, in my opinion, you have to win those games at home because you got to go return the favor and play those guys on the road later in the year. I do think we're young, but that's not a good excuse, as far as, our game-to-game preparation. But all we can do is kind of keep going at it, every day. Back to the drawing board, as we tell the guys. We actually watched film today, preparing for our game on Wednesday. It was a lengthy session, trying to just, hammer home some of the attention to details, things that we have to get right in order to win close games at home, because both of those games were games that, we played well for a half or for a nice stretch, but obviously it wasn't good enough. We have to be a better unit at paying attention to the details, and if we can do that, we still have a lot of season left, and we can certainly get going in the right direction. But the last couple of weeks stretch has not been what, everybody in the program has wanted, and we're just going to work towards getting that right.
Now, you mentioned watching film today. Less than 48 hours now until the next game, Wednesday at Berea in Kentucky. Have you started to scout Berea at the same time?
Yeah,
what,
for sure.
What kind of opponent are we looking at in Berea?
They don't do anything spectacular. They are, very simple. They play a little zone, little man. But they do have some good players. They got some good young players that, I think their point guard, Carter, is averaging about almost 20 a game. And then they have a freshman that's averaging like 18 a game. A bunch of players that are similar. I normally try to watch film a few days in advance. Sometimes I'll be able to watch some games that, we were scouting another group and I was just able to kind of catch some of the game also. But going into the game on Wednesday, we like to talk about our prep, and our prep doesn't really change because we are who we are, offensively and defensively. We play matchup zone, and then we run our motion offense. So, more so it's about us as opposed to it being about the opposing team. And if we can kind of hunker down on some of the stuff that we have really been trying to push forward, I do think that it is a game that we can go on the road. It's going to be a long trip. It's pretty far away. We'll get back late, but I think we can come back with a win. Absolutely.
And then a home game, part of that doubleheader with the women's side on Saturday against LaGrange. The men scheduled to go at 4, the women at 2. Talk about the home court advantage and how big that is for you guys to protect your home court, but also when you've got a women's game there could be even more fans in the house and that kind of thing as part of that doubleheader. How big is that for you guys to have that home court advantage?
I think it's huge just because we do get decent support from the community and from, the students on campus. A lot of the students are athletes, so they come out and support their peers. So, I do think it is important, on a game-to-game basis, week-to-week basis to protect the home court. I think going into a couple games ago, we were undefeated at home. I think we were 3-0. And that was something that I was really proud of, just because, our gym is small. I do think it's kind of a shooter's gym. People are right on top of you. It holds noise really well. So I think when we get a good crowd and we play hard and we give people something that they want to come out and support, it can be a very, very good, place to kind of go out and compete on a night in, night out basis.
Now, do want to let viewers and listeners know a little bit about you and kind of your journey, coming to where you're at today at Brevard College. You've been at Brevard since the 2012-13 season, so you've been here a while. You're a seasoned veteran, Tornado.
Yeah, I've been around for a minute.
But the relationship with head coach Lee Burgess goes back even
way back
further because you played for him at Samford, so bring us up to speed on kind of like that whole journey where when you first met Coach Burgess and up to, where you are today as a coach.
I think last year it made 10 years that I've known LB. I call him LB for his initials. But, he recruited me in Vegas when I was going into my senior year. I got a letter from him. That was the first kind of form of communication. And then he came down and watched a couple games, met my family. I went up for an official visit, and then I played for him, the whole time I was in school. And then when I graduated, at first it was just going to be an internship because at Sanford you finished all of your credit hours, and then your last semester was, designated for an internship. They didn't really want you to have any class. They just wanted you to kind of be able to focus on, entering the workforce and all of that information.
Sure.
So, so it was an internship, and then I had to go back to school because I had to, work in the athletic department in order to complete my 5th year of school. So I ended up coming back mid-year in December, and then just over the course of the 5.5, 6 years I've been here, it's just been a little bit every year. He's let me, do film and then get into a little more recruiting, and then just basically I just really appreciate LB for kind of letting me grow. He's never been the type to kind of, make me do things a certain way. He's always like, you go out there and you make some mistakes, but you figure it out. And then once you figure it out, you kind of do what works for you. So, and it's way more than than a work relationship. LB's children and his wife and all those people. Like I was around when Lee Ford, the oldest one, he's 10 now, and I've known him the whole time he's been alive. When he was a baby. I remember him being in the locker room, and now see him running around doing summer camp. So I do think on a personal level, he's much more than a boss. He's somebody that, I will definitely know for life. My family and his family are pretty well connected, and I appreciate him for, the opportunity that he's given me so far. So
now you played in over 80 games at Sanford with Coach LB, Coach Burgess as your coach, well over, triple digits of games now as part of his staff. You see this from time to time across different levels of basketball, these long-term assistants, who comes to mind is Leonard Hamilton at Florida State and Stan Jones, who's been there, like 3 decades with them, right on his side. When you've been with a coach that long, and for you even longer because of the playing side too, does it become like you're almost reading each other's minds sometime that, you exactly what he's going to say next, or he knows what you're thinking sort of, and, you just find yourself clicking that way?
For sure. Especially like, throughout practice when we're watching film, we'll watch a game together, or we'll be kind of going over practice, and I kind of can already know where he's headed, whatever we're covering at the time. We're definitely a pretty good team. I just feel like we kind of complement each other in the right way. The stuff that he kind of doesn't really like to do, I'll do, and then it's just over the course of time, that working relationship has definitely developed into a pretty good duo, in my opinion. So. And
if you can let folks behind the curtain a little bit, how do you guys manage the different responsibilities? So what are the parts of coaching that, are completely yours, and what does Coach Burgess handle?
I do, it's really pretty even. I do, scouting and stuff, but he always go back and watch and kind of, we'll talk about what we think we should be doing with this guy or with this guy. But really, like I said earlier, our plan is pretty much our plan. So, in a sense of us kind of splitting up duties, we kind of go into every game knowing what we want to do. So we really don't even have to, go over things like that. It's basically, if I see anything weird or funny, we'll get together and kind of talk about stuff like that. But and then, in the summertime with camp and stuff like that, stuff is different, as far as off the court, stuff like that. But for the most part, we kind of, like I said, we're each other's eyes and ears, so we kind of can.
Well, that kind of trust is just priceless.
Absolutely,
so you guys have got really a cool thing going there. Now, Coach, I see you over there at the Myers Dining Hall, and you're pound for pound as big of a overall sports fan as we've got on campus. So we got to just have a little bit of general sports talk, and I'll start with the stocking cap that you have on right there.
We had
folks watching on Facebook Live are able to see that. You're showing off your New Orleans Saints. Let's start with them. What was the weekend like as a Saints fan, down 14-0 to the Eagles early, but coming out with a win?
If I was to sit here and tell you I wasn't on the couch nervous, I would be lying to you, man. When we went down 14-0, I can't tell you all the things that I thought about, because we haven't really been playing well over the course of about 4 or 5 weeks. But me and my man Josh over here, where's Josh? Josh right there. Josh is a pretty big Saints fan too.
Nice.
So he's an LSU fan also. So I was basically, fingers crossed for a while, and then defense kind of showed up. We had a couple guys get hurt too. That was very unfortunate. Guys that we're definitely going to miss in the next round. But I'm not really the rah-rah type guy on the couch. I just basically was like, you know what? I'm going to keep my faith. We got one of the best quarterbacks. We got one of the best running backs. We have the best receiver this year. So I think we can get it done, But, that's what NFL football is. I think it's the one league that, if you make the playoffs, any team can win, It's not best player, best team wins. It's the hottest team wins. And the Saints haven't been the hottest. So when we were down 14-0, I was like, is our luck going to run out? But, we were able to pull it out. So made me a proud fan for sure.
So a Saints fan. And then I was talking to you before the show, and, you had told me before that you're a Houston Rockets fan in the NBA, but it all tracks back to one specific player.
It does.
Tell viewers and listeners, about that player and why you enjoy him so much that you've adopted the team that he's with these days.
Yeah, I am a huge Chris Paul fan. It started when I was in high school. When I was in high school, kind of sentimental, but he played a game. His grandfather passed away, and he played a game. His grandpa was like 66, 67 years old. He scores 66 points, and he misses the last shot on purpose to get his grandfather's age, and he walks off the floor. And I was hooked ever since then, And I know he has some up and down stuff that he does. He's had his mishaps in the playoffs. I am not happy about that. But, he also has another phrase that he always uses, and he says he hates to lose more than he loves to win, and I think that is so key, and I share that same kind of mentality with him. He's just an ultra competitor. He's small. He's 6 foot. He's not ultra athletic, but he's stuck around, and he is a great leader. And I just think he embodies everything that I wanted to be as a player. And I think he's going to be a great coach one day too. He's no nonsense. And then he is who he is. Sometimes, he comes off as rude and all of that stuff, but, he's about business. And, in order to win, you got to be about business for sure. So that's what I like about him. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so the origin of your, affinity for the Houston Rockets comes from Chris Paul. So, the Rockets, certainly making headlines with the play of James Harden lately.
Oh, yeah.
But the big question will continue to be, can they knock off the Warriors in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Do the Rockets have what it takes this season to maybe get over that hump?
I am definitely biased, but I think they can. And I thought last year they were up 3-2. CP gets hurt, for the last 2 games. And they were up 11 points in Game 7 at halftime. So they've had a chance to win. I just think that, NBA is NBA. It's a make-or-miss league. So, you go 1 for 27 or 1 for 30 from the three-point line, you're going to lose the game. If you can make some of those shots, or if Paul can stay healthy, who knows? And I do think that, this is the year, hopefully, that, somebody can get over the hump and beat the Warriors. But if you gave me, if you asked me who was going to win the championship right now, I would pick the Warriors. So I hope they can get over the hump, but I'm definitely saying it as
it's
a fan.
It's that old head versus heart
Absolutely,
thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
Well, KJ, I do want to ask you this, kind of, bringing it back to you and your journey as a coach. Mm-hmm. Who are some of the coaches that, you've looked up to and sort of, take notes or maybe have read their books, whatever it might be, that, you really respect across the world of basketball?
Obviously, Coach Burgess. Coach Burgess is the coach that gave me my first shot. High-level coaches, kind of, controversial, but I love Coach Cal, man. I think that his players play hard for him, and not only do they play well, but they go on into the league, and they're very successful too. I think you can look at a lot of different players and take that from it. And then I love Coach Kelsey over at Winthrop. I think he's a pretty cool coach. I've worked his camps a couple summers, and I think he does something really good over there. I think he has really good tradition. He recruits a different type of kid, and that's why they're successful. And Coach Young over at Wofford. I've worked Wofford camps before, and I think he's a heck of a coach too. I think he, he wins. They beat North Carolina last year on the road Small school Wofford is one of the smallest Division I schools in the country a few years ago, so I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing. And then just a few other people that, just here and there that I've, another college coach that I had, Coach Kelly, was very instrumental in me wanting to be a coach. And then, Coach Johnson, another guy, he works at Texas State now. Just guys that I kind of see at the Final Four that I've been able to develop a relationship with, have definitely people that I keep in touch with, throughout the course of the season. And I hope to, take a little bit from all of those guys and then be my own coach one day.
Great stuff.
Absolutely.
Now, last thing before we let you go, Coach, our next two guests are two of your freshmen, who have really, made some great contributions so far this season, Messiah Pankey and Joshua Wilson.
Yes,
Tell the audience a little bit about these two.
I'm a big fan of both of them. They probably don't always think that because, I do have something to say a lot of times. I'm a guy who corrects a lot of mistakes. But, I do think that both of them are going to be really good players for us down the road. Pankey has really came along lately as far as shooting the ball. His percentages are way up. And early in the year, we couldn't even get him to, step into threes and shoot them in rhythm. And he's definitely proved me wrong on that, counterpart. I think he's definitely picked up his game. And I think with Josh, man, Josh is just a guy that, he just gets more and more comfortable every time out. He's about the right stuff. He comes from a good family, and he just, I could use him being a little more aggressive at times, but I do think that every day I see him play and he's getting a little bit more comfortable. He's getting a little bit more confident in his ability, and I think just as he continues to go, both of them are going to finish the year great, and hopefully they go home in the summertime and they continue to work on their game and they come back and they're even better players next year. So.
Well, Coach, thanks for joining Tornado Talk tonight. Hope all the fans out there can come out to the Bosch on Saturday.
Doubleheader.
Doubleheader, 4 o'clock for the men's, 2 p.m. for the women's. Good luck with the road trip to Berea this Wednesday.
Thank you.
And right on cue, we'll hear from these two players,
awesome.
Messiah and Josh,
thank you, Phil.
right now.
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, that was Associate Head Coach Kaylin Johnson, known as KJ. Enjoyed talking to Coach Johnson, not only about the Brevard College Tornadoes, but also a little bit of general sports talk, talking NFL, talking NBA. And Coach Johnson has teed it up for these two that are rolling into Tornado Talk as we speak. And as they get set, glad to be joined now by Messiah Pankey and Josh Wilson.
How you doing?
Gentlemen,
How you doing?
Thanks for joining Tornado Talk. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, Coach Johnson had some great things to say about you guys as far as you all developing into your roles and improving as the season goes on. From each of your perspective, have you felt like you're getting more comfortable, as far as being a college player for the first time and, getting your role settled with the team? We'll start with you, Messiah.
Yeah, I feel like I've been getting more comfortable with my role. Coach KJ and LB have been very encouraging to me. Even though they do get on me in a more critical way, I just take it very well and just try to do the best I can to fit into my role, whether that's playing defense, rebounding, running the team, running the plays. I'm just trying to fit into my role on the team.
Nice. And how about yourself, Josh?
Like KJ said, I'm getting more and more comfortable every day and working on my game, just trying to get better and know what's my role, and that's really it.
Well, it's certainly showing lately. My friend Joseph and I, are there courtside doing the statistics during a lot of your games, and we've noticed just the numbers pick up lately. For Messiah, last 3 games, 10 points, 14 points, and 8 points, and also you've gotten that 3 ball to deliver, and at the right times. It's not like you're launching 10 threes. You went 2 for 2 one night, 2 for 3 the other. Is that a part of your game that you constantly work at and that you feel like you can unleash from time to time?
Yeah, definitely. Lately, I've been getting in the gym more with Josh before games, just trying to get as many shots up as possible, and I feel like that's really helped me a lot in being comfortable and more confident in shooting in the game.
Yeah, and Josh, from a number standpoint, seen things pick up for you as well. You did have your collegiate career high. I don't know if you're even aware of this early in the season, at Toccoa Falls. But these last few games, you've been getting more minutes, contributing in a lot of ways, and also getting it done on the defensive end, coming up with some steals. Talk about defense from your perspective and how important that is to your game.
I just take a lot of pride in my defense because I don't like getting scored on. So, that's what I do. I'm trying to be a dog and make sure no one scores on me.
Well, it certainly shows, that you guys are, your role's improving, and I can see you feeling more comfortable out there and so forth. So please keep on doing what you're doing and keep that up. Now, do want to let listeners get to know you guys a little bit and where y'all came from. And you came from two very different places. One pretty close to here, one very far from here, and we'll get to that in a second. But first, we'll start with you, Messiah. Durham, North Carolina, Grace Christian High School. So you're a North Carolina native. Talk about your high school experience in Durham. I'm sure there's a lot of good basketball through that part, of course. And then also, how did you find Brevard?
As far as Durham goes, the city is just kind of a small town, but we're all real connected. Like, all the basketball players really look out for each other, and it's real competitive, but it's all love and no love lost. How I found out about Brevard, me and my dad, we were just sending out emails, and Coach KJ, he answered back very quickly, and he told me he liked my game. And then not long after that, I was playing the AAU tournament, and he came out to one of the games, and he said he liked what he saw, and then it was just from there. Now I'm here now. Nice.
I'm glad that all worked out. Now, Josh, you're from Eagle River, Alaska.
Yes, sir.
Can't think, there's only, so many places that are further than that within the United States. First, tell a little bit about what it's like to even live in Alaska, and then, to be an athlete as well. Do you have to travel very far just to get to the, next available high school because it's so spread out, and how do you deal with the winter, those kind of things?
The winter's not too bad. You get used to it while you start living there, and everything's not really too far away from each other, so I live in a good community. It's kind of quiet, so it was pretty good living there.
Nice. And I'll ask you the same question I asked Messiah. How did you find Brevard, or did Brevard find you?
So my senior year was kind of in a rough spot. I was about to give up basketball, and I started emailing coaches, and I was blessed that KJ called me back and contacted me, and I just love the place here.
Now, you both have been here through your fall semester, now about halfway through your basketball season here. A question I'd love to ask, Brevard College student athletes is, how do you like it so far? And, what makes this place so special?
I love it so far. It's definitely different from where I came from. It's more of an urban type city, and just being here with all the mountains and scenery and white squirrels, this is really different for me. And, yeah, I really like it so far. The community is definitely – it's very a close-knit community. I feel like everybody here supports the basketball team and just supports the college in general. So I really like that.
White squirrels are different for just about anybody who experiences them for the first time. And how about yourself, Josh? How are you liking it here at Brevard?
It's not too bad. It's just like being at home, the mountain and the scenery. And the community's kind of nice. I like how they come and support us to the games and everything. It's good.
Well, this Saturday, hope all the fans can come on out to the Bosch, to support these two and the entire Tornado roster. Doubleheader. The women's team plays at 2, the men's play at 4. So, great value there for the fans who want to come out. But first things first, you got Berea this Wednesday at 7 p.m. I know you guys came off a big film session earlier today. What did the coaches tell you as far as what the keys are heading into the Berea matchup?
Our main thing so far these past couple games have been giving more effort and playing harder, definitely. Me personally, I have to work on my defense and stopping the ball and make sure that I'm locked in on defense the whole game, the whole 40 minutes or however long I'm in the game. And that's really been the main thing. I feel like if we come together as a team and just all play hard, all just lock up on defense, and when we're all clicking on offense, we're very tough to handle. We're a very, very tough team to beat.
Anything to add to that, Josh?
Yeah, like you said, it's just like everything, and we need to come in closer as a team so we can get some wins because we are in a slump right now, and that's really our main goal, to get a win.
Yeah, it sounds like a real business trip on tap here, in a couple days, and I wish you guys, luck and success there at Berea. I'm really happy to meet you guys for the first time in person and have you here on Tornado Talk. Going to be excited watching how the rest of your season goes, but also, you know, your entire collegiate career. I think you made a great choice coming to Brevard College, and great things in stew for both of you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for joining the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
That was Messiah Pankey and Josh Wilson, two freshmen on that Brevard College Tornado team who are making all sorts of noise lately on the court. And you'll be able to see them in action this Saturday, 4 p.m. at the Boshemer Gymnasium. So I want to thank Messiah Pankey and Josh Wilson for coming on the show. As we'll switch gears now. Talk a little football with assistant coach Andrew Bather. Coach, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, Coach Bather handles the wide receivers.
Yes, sir.
You know, and before we get in sort of your journey and so forth and let viewers know a little more about you, I do want to talk particularly about one wide receiver, and I'm sure you know who I'm going to go with here. You know, Bubba Craven, first team All-Sun Conference, selected to play, and he played in the National Bowl down in Daytona Beach. School records, career records, 101 career receptions, 1,530 career receiving yards, 19 career touchdowns, owns all sorts of single season and single game records as well, and has done it all in 2 years because he started as an option quarterback and then was converted to wide receiver.
Yes, sir.
Now, you were the coach who worked closest with him in terms of turning him into from a quarterback to a wide receiver.
Yes, sir.
I'll let you go on as long as you like, Coach. You know, not about Bubba Craven, but also I do want to hear specifically about that transition for him.
I mean, Bubba's always been a hard worker. He's always been one of the hardest workers on the team, and honestly, I think he deserves all the accomplishment that comes with him. He came in during the spring that we got hired and showed us what he was made of. Man, it really caught fire with the team too. Everybody took heed to Bubba being one of the hardest workers with the most talent as well. So as long as your most talented player is always one of the hardest workers, you'll be fine. But he came in, man, as a quarterback, kind of struggled a little bit. Of course, we run an NFL-style offense, kind of struggled with the verbiage and some of that type of stuff. But once we put him out at receiver, he started to understand it. It's simpler. It simplified everything. It made everything click for him. He started to play a lot faster. So we were like, just might as well leave him there. He's already an athlete as it is. Triple option quarterbacks are usually athletes anyway. So once we got him there, I just tried to get his tried to refine all the detail that came with it. So footwork and hands, all of that type of stuff, man. But he's one of the most coachable guys I've ever been around. That's from me playing and coaching. So I mean, I love that kid, man. He's a good friend of mine now.
Yeah, no, we're extremely proud of him at Brevard College, and just phenomenal. I mean, to do it in only 2 years, to rack up those type of numbers and to break those records. You know, did you guys know it right away when you converted him wide receiver, or did it take a few games last season to kind of realize that, hey, this can be sort of the premier target for y'all?
As I can recall back to the spring that we got hired here, man, we kind of just threw him out there receiver just for one rep, just to give somebody else a blow. He went on a deep route, went up and grabbed it out of the air. We all looked at each other like, whoa. So, I mean, it kind of clicked for us immediately. But, I mean, we still tried to fit him in, still gave him reps at quarterback, but we saw that his calling was receiver, and he's did nothing but great things since.
Now, any great receiver is the beneficiary of a successful quarterback as well. And you guys had a great one this year in Dalton Cole, you know, who won all sorts of awards himself, including USA South Conference Rookie of the Year. Talk about Dalton and, you know, his, you know, success as a freshman and, you know, finding your guys on the receiving.
I'm extremely proud of Dalton Cole, honestly. He made tremendous growth throughout the season. I mean, a lot of times a lot of freshmen aren't called to immediately start a college football game. I mean, you just come from playing against 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, going straight to playing against 21, 22-year-olds. So the maturity level there is always a good thing to have at the quarterback position. But, I mean, he matured very fast. Once he got his, you know, sea legs in a little, I call it that. But once he realized how fast the game was, he kind of stepped his game up as the season went along, getting better and better with the offense. But I'm I'm extremely happy for Dalton Cole, man. He deserves it all too. I mean, I can't wait to see what's next for the future.
Now, while Craven racked up big numbers, one thing that was apparent throughout the year is that Cole found a lot of different targets, and
Right.
part of it is the nature of your offense, sets up a lot of different options, for the quarterback to deliver those balls. Guys like Ralph Roman III, Brandon Norris, Cortez Scales Jr., the list goes on and on. Talk about the depth of your receiving core this past season.
Honestly, we were blessed at the receiver position, man. A lot of playmakers on the field. We tried to get them on the field as much as possible. The hard thing was trying to make sure everybody got their touches. I mean, it was a good problem to have. I'll say that. But the guys really worked their butts off. I mean, we as a receiver group probably grew the most out of all positions. Of course, I spent the most time with them, but I think we made tremendous strides as well during the season. Brandon Norris came in as a freshman, showed us flashes straight out of high school. I mean, in camp. Blake Taylor, he kind of caught our eye from high school. We knew he was going to be a great find for us. Ralph Roman, kid from Arizona, man, he came in and he had some maturity for some of those young guys. He led the way for our receiver group mentally. Cortez Scales, he's going to be great for the future, man. I can't wait to see his full potential. A lot of guys, man. I'm just blessed to have him in part of my position.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a great situation to be in, to have that many guys who can get it done, and
Right.
it's certainly tough to defend against that many,
Right,
options, no doubt. Now, Coach, do want to get into a little bit about, your journey,
Okay.
and I was talking to Coach Kayet a little bit about you, and he reminded me that he was your coach,
Yeah, that's my
at
guy.
Tennessee State, and had you as a player, where you were a very successful wide receiver in the Ohio Valley Conference. Now, Coach Kayet revealed to me that he had such faith in you from a mental standpoint that he would let you make some calls on special teams.
I mean,
think back to those times, and did you know that you'd eventually be a coach?
I mean, I kind of, had the thought in my head, but I never really planned for it to be like this. But I'm glad I'm doing it with him, man. As I was playing, I saw we had some of the same characteristics as far as the mental aspect of the game, and I just was kind of drawn towards him. We used to meet all the time about special teams and stuff like that, man. And just the knowledge that he was showing me then in the special teams department, a lot of coaches didn't really exude or put out there towards players, and he trusted me with something big, and I appreciate him for that. And that showed me that he believed in me, and that really helped my game.
Now, Coach Bather, part of a family legacy at Tennessee State.
Yeah.
Older brother Justin, your oldest brother Brandon, both played there as well. So you were the third of three brothers to have successful careers there at Tennessee State.
Yeah.
Tell folks a little bit about your brothers and maybe what they're up to these days.
My oldest brother, Brandon Bather, he finished his career in 2012. He went on to GA at Tennessee State while I was playing, so all three of us were part of the program at the same time. It's pretty rare, but he went on to GA and moved to New Jersey after that. He's been working with NFL Films for, I think, about 6 to 7 years, about to be 7 years now. So
Fantastic.
And he's been coaching high school football, high school basketball, track. They just won actually the state championship in South Jersey up there, Woodrow Wilson Tigers. So pretty proud of him. My middle brother, Justin Bather, he went on to get his master's at Belmont in sport administration. He actually is coaching at basketball at Laverne High School right now, our alma mater. So it's crazy how things fold out, man. We're all Coach Bather right now. So
That's right.
It's pretty funny.
Great stuff, and I'm sure you guys, are able to, compare notes and share all sorts of, experiences with each other.
Anytime a game comes on, man, we always reminisce about what we did and what we didn't do. Who's the better athlete, all that type of stuff. It goes back and forth.
So you graduate from Tennessee State. Coach Kayet becomes the head coach here at Brevard College.
Yep.
And then at some point in there, you get the phone call for him that he wants you as part of your staff. Bring us back to that day. What was that like? Was it a total surprise, or, were you warmed up to it prior to it?
So initially I had reached out to Coach Kayet. I didn't know he just was recently hired as a head coach, but I reached out to him to see if he knew anybody he could recommend me to. I was at a high school basketball game watching one of my cousins play, and he called me while I was there. I ran out, answered the phone. He told me he would rather offer me the position as a receivers coach. I was shocked. Of course I took it, but I was just extremely proud that he had that much faith in me just the same amount of faith that he had when I was playing. So I mean, a lot of joy. You know, it's a very emotional moment for me. It was the beginning of my career, so I'm very grateful to Coach Kayat. I never would have been here without him.
And now here, you know, you just completed your second year here at Brevard College as a assistant coach handling the wide receivers. You're on the recruiting trail a ton, as I know all the staff is. Recruiting, both back home, Tennessee, but as well as some other areas of the country. What are some of your responsibilities and sort of your hot spots with recruiting?
Basically, just find guys who fit our program. Just good human beings as well as good athletes. Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, Fayetteville area, Fort Bragg area, North Carolina, and pretty much anywhere in the 50-mile radius of Brevard College. But just basically find the best receivers that you can find. If you find anybody else along with it, make sure you screen them. Make sure they're good for the program, good human beings. Make sure they'll be great teammates for the program, and bring them on in.
And then once you identify a recruit that, hey, he's a good fit for us.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about the selling points of Brevard College and, what you then communicate to them as saying, hey, this is the place for you and this is what makes us unique.
Right. We pride ourselves on giving our guys the highest football education out there. I mean, we got to look at the guys on the staff. I mean, look at their resumes. I mean,
no doubt.
Honestly, I'm just blessed to be working with them every day. Coach Kai has been spending a lot of time in the NFL. Coach Lindsey spent a lot of time in the NFL, but I look at myself as far as the receiver standpoint. I feel like I can provide a great amount of knowledge at the receiver standpoint, just like Coach Kayak could at tight ends or Coach Lindsey at O-line. But we really pride ourselves on giving the guys the best football education out there, since each guy has played the position that they're coaching at the D1 level or higher. So it's very good to have that experience underneath you without having to go out there and just, you got to do it or you got to make the play. But we want to tell you how to make the play and why you did make the play, so we can learn from it through experience.
Yeah, and all sorts of other attributes as well. Small campus,
right.
One-on-one time.
Right.
Certainly a great part of the country to not only go to
Right.
school but
Beautiful.
to just live. Beautiful
just
place.
Just to look around. But.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think from a football perspective, and after getting to know Coach Kyatt throughout the season, what I've noticed is you jump on board now. You have the ability, and the opportunity to be part of something great down the road. Something
very special. Once we got here, we wanted to call it one of the greatest turns around in football history. So we're striving every day to make that happen. But Coach Kyatt, man, he's a very meticulous guy, man. I love that about him. He wants to make sure that all his I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. So one thing that we have to do is make sure that each guy is a perfect fit for Brevard, and we're a perfect fit for them as well. Because a lot of times guys will get here and realize, they're serious. This is not a typical, D2, D3 program. Nah, we don't know how to treat it like that. We've all been experienced at D1 level or higher. So that's one thing he does take pride on, is organization, meticulousness, stuff like that.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, Coach, and it's exciting to watch you guys continue to evolve and and also showcase that sort of experience that you all have as a staff. Now, back to your specific trade and your position,
Right.
the wide receiver spot. What makes in today's day and age for a great wide receiver?
Honestly, I would say a maturity level, an aggressive focus. A lot of times, guys will just get up there and just think it would happen. No, you got to go out there and realize what it takes to be great. As far as what you're lacking and what you're good at, basically. If you're good at jump balls, make sure you put yourself in the best position to get a jump ball or to grab a jump ball. If footwork's not one of your better things, realizing that, spending more time working on that, and then until you get better at it. I honestly say maturity, man, is probably the biggest one I can say, because once you realize what you don't have, you can find a way to change that.
Now, you mentioned kind of, working with an individual player's strengths and weaknesses. What if a wide receiver, is just slow? For lack of a better word, is just, his 40 time isn't going to improve. He's a step behind. But, you see it in the NFL. Some of these guys have amazing careers. What's the key for that kind of player, as far as having success despite maybe not being the fastest guy?
Technique, honestly. Efficient route running. Honestly, they used to call me the slow receiver. So I pretty much have a lot of experience with that. But I just made sure that each route was efficient, meaning no false steps or no bad footwork coming out of the route, or just, and then you could also get faster just by working out, running more, getting stronger. But technique is a big part of playing receiver. Once you realize how efficient your steps will be, it clicks in your head and you understand.
Now, Coach, I had Kaylin Johnson, from the men's basketball program
Right.
on earlier, and we did a little bit of general sports talk, and I always enjoy talking to guys like yourself on that.
Yeah.
First I'll start with a easy one. Is there an NFL team that you follow and that you prefer?
I've always been a fan of the Patriots, just because of the way they go about things. It's not always the best talent out there, but they find some way to get it done, whether it's through scheme or matchups and all that type of stuff. I've always been a fan of the Patriots just because of coaching.
Well, they certainly delivered, this past weekend with that big win against the Chargers. Do they have what it takes this year to go all the way to the Super Bowl and maybe even win the thing?
Honestly, from what I saw, I think so, because they did it running the ball this week versus throwing it through the air. So, I mean, if you can run the ball against anybody, you have a chance to win in defense.
And now, in terms of wide receivers, and you said your brother works in NFL film, so I'm sure you've seen a lot of, the historical pieces
Right.
on all the greats, throughout history of pro football. Who are your all-time favorite wideouts?
All-time favorite would have to be Jerry Rice, of course, because he is the greatest slow receiver out there. He ran a 4.6 at the combine, but he found a way to get it done. Randy Moss had to be the second one. He was just one of the best athletes out there. I would say Steve Smith, just because he wore 89 and he had the aggressive mentality that I was looking for. As a child, I kind of grew towards him. He was a smaller receiver, but you couldn't tell by the way he played. Who else? I'll say about Odell Beckham. He's pretty explosive. That's one thing I like about him. That's pretty much it. But
yeah, that runs the gamut pretty well as
Yeah,
far as some greats,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. And then how about as far as coaches? You certainly mentioned Coach Kyatt and his influence on you.
Oh,
But in terms of coaches over the course of history, maybe books you've read, guys that you've always, looked up to.
Personally, I grew to love my receiver coach that I played with at Tennessee State, Coach Mike Jones. He was a big influence on my life as far as just understanding what it takes to be a receiver and what it takes to be successful in this world. Not just football, but just bigger than football. But he's always been a good friend of mine. Bill Belichick, of course. I mean, he finds a way to get it done. Just do your job. That's all it takes. It's pretty much a lifestyle to live by. That's pretty much it, though. Coach Kyatt, he's up there. He's up there, top two.
Well, Coach, it was great to get to know you, better tonight. Thanks for joining us on
problem.
Tornado Talk. I mean, it's been a lot of fun, following, the program, not only just the games, but also, how you guys continue to, build this thing at Brevard College and, great things to come. So, Coach, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Coach Andrew Bather, assistant coach for Brevard College Tornadoes football, and handles the wide receivers. We got in depth as far as that wide receiver position, talked also about Bubba Craven amongst his other wide receivers. And we're joined now by a couple women's basketball players, so look forward to having these two. If Joseph can maybe help Destiny with that headset there. There we go. All right, ladies, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, Shay Washington and Destiny Williams joining Tornado Talk, two of those women's basketball players we've been talking about all season long. Now, ladies, first want folks to get to know you a little better as people. I'm going to start with an easy one. When did you start playing basketball?
Well, I started playing basketball 7th grade. I always wanted to play as a kid or whatever, and it was a lot of things going on. Like, I didn't really have the chance to go out and try out for teams. So my first actual game and actually playing with a team was actually 7th grade. And from there, I had to work by myself and, try to better myself.
So kind of a late bloomer compared to, a lot of
Yeah.
players, I would imagine. And how about yourself, Destiny?
Well, I probably started when I was like 6. My uncle got me into the game of basketball, just being outside with him all the time in the backyard shooting hoops. And then when I moved to Aiken, rec leagues. And then I eventually got church leagues, AAU. I've always been playing basketball my whole life.
Now, Taisha out of Charlotte, North Carolina, Destiny out of Aiken. A typical question I ask a lot of our guests, when they come on the show is, how did you find Brevard College, or how did Brevard College find you?
Well, Brevard was actually last minute for me. I was about to head to Greensboro College and play for them, and Coach Hud, our head coach, he called, and he was like, you should come check out Brevard. It's a great place. And the way he persuaded me kind of had me like, yeah, Ma, I want to go check this out. So we went to go check it out, and it was a beautiful campus. It's a private school, and I like that. The classes are like 15 people and less, which brought me here. So it was just him persuading me.
How about yourself, Destiny?
Well, honestly, it was just one day I'm just laying in bed trying to figure out which college I'm going to go to. And Coach hit me up, and it was like that one of his best friends see me play in a Christmas tournament and was saying really good things about my defense and my drive, my dedication. And at that point, he said that he was from Augusta, so I kind of like related that he knows the area a little bit. And he pretty much just persuaded me to come to a school that couldn't even say the name of at first.
Well, I'm sure you know the name now, and you
Yeah.
feel comfortable here now, and glad you both found your way to Brevard College. Now, let's talk about each of your individual games. Taisha, you're point guard on the team, starting point guard. Have you always been a point guard? And if you were to describe to someone, what your game is all about, how would you do that?
Well, yes, I've always been a point guard, to answer your question, and I'm a combo guard. I can do a little bit of shooting. I can drive. I can do a little bit of both of those things. You wouldn't catch me down there in the paint with Destiny and them, grabbing rebounds and stuff. That's just not me. But, I love to shoot. I love to drive. That's just what I do. Just those two things mainly.
And Destiny averaging 11.1 points per game this season, 5.5 boards. How about yourself? How do you describe your game when someone asks you?
Actually, when I was in middle school, I was actually the point guard. I started out as a point guard. And then I worked my way down. As I got taller than most girls, I worked my way down to the forward or a post position. But I can go back and forth between a guard and a post, just depending on where the coach needs me. I can drive. That's my first game. But if I'm wide open on the three, I'll take the three.
Now, what comes to mind, Destiny, as you described, your ability to handle the ball too, was in your last home game, there was a sequence, I don't know if y'all remember this, that Destiny Williams grabs the rebound, goes coast to coast, finishes it herself. That's you I'm talking about. And then on the very next play, does the same exact thing. Back-to-back, coast-to-coast, fast break finishes.
She's fast, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with her.
I know, you players get modest talking about yourself. So, Taisha, what happened in that sequence? Is it just like one player taking over the whole court?
I mean, honestly, Destiny has those spurts where, out of nowhere, you look one way, and by the time you blink, Destiny got the ball going to the other side, and she wants us to run with us, and I run with her. I'm side by side with her, and she just ended up leaving me. So I'm like, you know what, Destiny, you got it. So whenever she have those little spurts, I just be like, she got this, foul or N1, Like, she basically got that. So.
Well, since Taisha had such nice things to say about you, Destiny, I'll let you return the favor. What are the things that Taisha brings to, the team, and how does she set you up for success?
Well, defensively, I play off of her sometimes. Like, if she's going hard in, I know that I need to go hard in with her. And as a point guard, I know that I can trust her to make a play that needs to be done, especially in the crunch times. Like, if it's an outlet, I know if Taisha got the ball and I run the floor, that she'll be able to look up and give me the pass.
Well, ladies, you've got a couple games coming up this week. I know you've been, hard at work, coming off a road trip this past weekend that didn't go your way. What are the keys heading into this week's action?
Well, we got to play together. Like, our entire team, each and every one of us, we have to play together. We got to trust each other. And we have to give energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all feed off each other. So if we all have the energy there, then it should be a great game. If not the win, It's a great competition.
Likewise, Destiny.
Well, I believe if the main thing we got to do is stop fouling. Likewise, myself, we've always come down to the fourth quarter. Our starters, they're 4 or 5 fouls now. We're kind of looking, it's like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
We've already put that team on the free throw line almost 20 times. So they've already made almost more than half those free throws. That's kind of where the separation comes. So we can just stop fouling. Then I feel like this weekend and even the rest of the way will be good.
Yeah, and how do you do that? And what do the coaches work with you on? To make sure you defend effectively, but not send them to the line.
Coach, I mainly get all my fouls out on the perimeter. If I get something down there, it's because maybe I try to get the ball and I'm too little. You know what I'm saying? But like basically, he always tells me, keep your hands back, keep your hands back. And I'm the type of person, like, if I feel like I got the ball, I'm going to go get it. But, 9 times out of 10, they're going to call that a foul, saying I reached in or whatever. So he just always reminds me, whenever I'm on somebody, keep your hands back, keep your hands back. I just have to keep that in mind.
Well, for me personally, I'm a very defensive player. I always seem that I'm always going for the ball. So for a block or a steal or just anything, and I've always ended up getting the foul called against me. So I just got to learn how to just leave the ball alone sometimes.
Well, you hear this a lot. There's bad fouls and there's okay fouls or good fouls. And you want to avoid those bad ones and letting the opponent go to the line. But it's great to hear that you guys have identified that as what you need to improve on, and hopefully it'll turn around for you guys real quick here. A doubleheader this weekend with the men's team against LaGrange on Saturday. Help me sell it to the fans, why they should get out there to the Bosch and how much it helps you all as student athletes to have a crowd behind you.
Yeah, that game we played at their place, it was actually a very close game. We lost by 2 points, 1 point in overtime. You know what I'm saying? So it's great competition. Like, you guys should really come see it. You don't want to miss it.
And at their place, they had all their fans and stuff hyping them up. Out there cheering them on. That's how the girls was able to feed off that energy, and they ended up taking the win from us. But I feel like we had that same energy at our home, then it's going to be an easy win, knowing that our fans is right there to back us up.
Yeah, no doubt when the Bosch gets packed, it makes a difference.
Yes,
there's no doubt about it. That venue can get very loud very quick, especially when Destiny's doing that coast-to-coast deal, or or you're nabbing a steal and getting down the court quick yourself. Last thing, do want to talk about one of your teammates. We've got a senior on the team, Annalie Bollinger, who is just a phenomenal student athlete and also a real leader and can drain the three when she gets on. I'll let you each talk about the senior Annalie a little bit and how important she is to your team.
Well, she's actually very important. Last year was my first year playing with her. And, she was a leading scorer. You know what I'm saying? And, like, some of our energy, like, feeds off her when AB's knocking threes down. Now, we go into the other side of the court, getting steals. You know what I'm saying? Just feeding off her energy. If we know she's knocking things down, it just makes us want to, snap and work. You know what I'm saying? And, like, this year, I kind of feel bad because we're not really having a season that we all imagined to have. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of rough for us. And I'm hoping, like, these next few games we can really pick that up for her. There's only 9 left, and that's it for her. So.
Yeah, like last year, I swear, when Annalie would hit those threes almost near half court, the whole stands was up.
Yeah.
But it's really, like, the way she plays and her dedication to the game, her love for the game, it really just feeds off to me. Like, I know if I can drive and I'm not open, I can just easily dish it out to her, knowing that she's going to make that three. I have full confidence in Annalie that she's going to make the three. Like, she would be my top scorer on the team, if I had to say anything.
Now, I would be remiss without also talking about, the other senior co-captain, Jatasha Hollinger, who does a lot of things behind the scenes that folks might not realize are so important to your team. Each of you talk about Jatasha.
Tasha's great defender. Great defender. Like, last year, it used to be me, Deja, and Destiny who, coach was spot on. Like, we got some tough defense. Defense should not, anyone should not blow by us. You know what I'm saying? And Tasha came this year, and she actually fit well, especially with the defense. She can really relate to me, Des, and Deja when we're on the court.
Well, I feel like Tasha has really stepped up as a point guard. I feel like maybe at her old, I'm not sure what position she played last year at her old school, but coach kind of put her in a position that she really wasn't comfortable with. But she took the challenge and she's taking it pretty well.
And I can trust her with the ball up top.
Yeah.
Say, Tasha, get the ball here. You run this play for us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, ladies, you are providing a very exciting brand of basketball there at the Boschmer Gymnasium. I love watching y'all play, on every last bit of it, and I hope fans can get out there on Saturday. Like you said, even matchup as about as even as it comes against LaGrange. Could go either way, but hopefully in the benefit of the Tornadoes, with a big performance on Saturday, and how important it is for the fans to get out there to the Boschmer Gymnasium. So hope everyone can get out there on Saturday. Women's game at 4 p.m., men's game at 2 p.m. at the Bosch. Help us pack the Bosch. Any parting words for the audience out there? Anybody you want to thank or give a shout out to?
Nah.
Well, I know my mom's watching. I definitely want to give a shout out to my mom. Even though she's not able to come to all the games, I know every time I'm playing, she's always watching. And without her, I wouldn't be able to be playing basketball today.
Yeah, I could shout my mom out too, but I don't know if she's watching or not. She'd be too busy. So.
Well, the show is available on replay, and we can also send her the link to the SoundCloud. So if she prefers just the audio version, we can do that. We'll get her all hooked up for you, so she can watch it, watch or listen whenever she feels like. But appreciate you two ladies coming on the show tonight. I know you guys are busy with your schoolwork and preparing for your next game and so forth, and coming off that road trip. So really appreciate you making the time for us. And great job tonight on Tornado Talk. We'll see you Saturday at the Bosch.
All right.
Hey,
All
Deja.
All right, Destiny Williams and Taisha Washington, two of those key student athletes on that Brevard College women's basketball team that will be in action this Saturday. And do want to clarify for you, in case you're making those plans for this Saturday, the men's game will start at 2 p.m. and the women's game at 4 p.m. at the Boschmer Gymnasium. That's this Saturday. Hope you can join us there. The men's team has a game prior to that on the road at Berea this Wednesday. Spring sports starting to get cranked up as well. You can check out all those schedules on bctornadoes.com and start to make your plans throughout the spring to continue to support Brevard College athletics. Want to thank all of our guests that joined the show tonight. Had a great talk with men's basketball associate head coach Kaylin Johnson, also known as KJ, to open the show. And then two men's basketball student athletes, Messiah Pankey and Josh Wilson, joined the show. It's great having them on board. Talked with assistant coach and football wide receivers coach Andrew Bather. Really enjoyed talking to Coach Bather and hopefully letting you all know a little bit more about his tremendous background, and also gave us a real good vantage point as far as what the wide receiver position is all about. And, Coach Bather very much responsible with the success of one Bubba Craven, who transferred, from a position standpoint, from an option quarterback to a wide receiver, and then broke pretty much every record known to man in the Brevard College receiving record books. And then we closed the show with women's basketball student athletes Destiny Williams and Taisha Washington. Enjoyed having them on the show. Again, men's basketball 2 p.m., women's basketball 4 p.m. this Saturday versus LaGrange at the Bosch. Want to thank our sponsors, Arby's, Zaxby's, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Ingalls, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium, Pepsi, and Dugan's Pub. And want to thank you for joining us tonight for Tornado Talk. We'll see you next Monday night or even sooner at the Bosch this Saturday. Thanks for calling.